For more on the last-minute bargaining and jockeying between the delegates, I spoke to David Waskow. He's the director of the International Climate Initiative at the World Resources Institute, and I asked him if he was optimistic about a deal being finally reached.
No, I think the conversations have gotten very serious, and countries are bilaterally and in small groups really tackling the serious issues. And the question is, getting all the trade-offs done in a way that actually leads to a higher level of a result and not a lower level.
So I thought one of the key sticking points was the financing basically from the rich countries to the poor countries, and I thought we had resolved the vast majority of that. And I think the next thing, if my understanding is correct, are the standards that were likely to be set and how they would ultimately be enforced. Are those the last key remaining issues, or are there more?
Well, there's still an issue, which I think is close to resolution, on coming back to the process and increasing the level of action every 5 years. And that's an issue in terms of pursuing emissions reductions and low carbon development, but also in terms of finance and investment, and making sure that countries come back to keep ramping up the action on those fronts as well. So that's still in the mix. And then, as you said, the whole question of measurement and reporting, how that's dealt with. And I think what countries are talking about now is having a common framework for all countries, but how countries get there over time, so that developed and developing countries have the same framework, and what that journey is, if you will, is what they're talking about right now.
One of the things that we've learned a lot this week is about the use of coal, that provides a lot of energy for a lot of countries, China, India, I mean, among one of the few, and including the U.S., by the way. And there's been a lot of talk about, look, if this is one of the dirtiest forms of burning fuels and causes a huge amount of pollutants into the air, the bad ones, can't we do more? I mean, isn't there a way to spend the money on technology to do that? I mean, don't we already have the existing technology to stop this from happening?
Well, the technology to sequester the emissions from coal plants is still really something that needs to be fully developed, and it's not yet something that's cost effective. So there's still a ways to go on that. Meanwhile, we do, sort of in parallel, have opportunities on the renewable energy front. Those prices have come down substantially and keep falling, and also on energy efficiency. And often with energy efficiency, the investments that are made can have a payback quite quickly, and so it ends up being a cost-effective way to take action. You save energy, and you also reduce emissions.
But I'm speaking specifically about the filters and the scrubbers that exist, and some people use them a lot and some people don't at all. I mean, couldn't we all agree that let's have that happen? At least that would remove a large percentage of the pollutants in the air.
Well, the carbon emissions from coal, we would really need to handle in a variety of ways, including what's called sequestering it, trying to capture it in some way and store it. Those technologies are complicated. There are some that are more or less in their infancy still and can be developed, but it really is something that would still takes will require a lot of development of the technologies in order to be cost effective.
At the end of this event, at the end of the conference, are you going to feel like this was a success? I mean, what's going to define that?
Well, we came into this event with a lot of momentum, a lot of cities and businesses and others clearly committing to action, and also 186 countries that have put forward their national climate plans as part of this agreement. So a lot of momentum, but we need to build on it because it's not enough yet. And there will be a lot of emissions reductions from those actions, but we still need to make sure that we can go further. So coming back in 5 years, continuing to take action together, reaching toward long-term ambitious and transformative goals, all of that is really what needs to happen over the course of the next, might be 24 hours still, I think, as we try to reach this agreement. And about that, I'm fairly optimistic, but countries have to really come together and decide that as they reach common ground, that they reach for a higher common ground and don't let things go in a different direction than that.